Immigration has been one of the most contentious topics over the past few years, with things like Trump coming into power and Brexit being a thing. And one of the main diaspora of immigrants that have been affected by these things is the Caribbean diaspora in places like the UK and the US. One of the panels that I went to at the NGC Bocas Lit Fest was called Beyond Borders, and this panel was supposed to talk about that, although I don't think they necessarily focused a lot on the Caribbean diaspora or experience, in my opinion. They mostly took the route of talking about the general politics surrounding racism and immigration in places like Britain, especially Britain, because 3 of the 4 panelists were British. Well, one of them was Trinidadian British, the other 2 were British. The panel was moderated by Alison Donnel, and she talked to Afua Hirsch, Anthony Joseph, Debbie Jacob, and Muli Amaye. So as I said, the conversation took a little bit of a different turn than I was expecting, but I still really liked the discussions that happened. One of the things that they talked about that really struck out to me was the expectations that immigrants have to be grateful for their immigrant experience, which I've personally always found to be somewhat of a contradiction, because I mean, if you take over somebody's country and exploit their resources and leave them with nothing, so that in the new age their countries have little to nothing to offer them, in some cases they're going to leave and pursue opportunities elsewhere, especially in those countries that did underdevelop them in the first place. But what was interesting about that to me was the fact that it's different for first-generation immigrants as opposed to the following generation of immigrants.
I remember sitting with my father, who was Nigerian, and he praised the British. They were so amazing, they know everything, they do everything, and I would be sitting there going, what are you talking about? Like, do you really think that they wanted you here? I would say, yeah, see that building there, that was built on slavery money, Dad.
There's an essay by Carol Phillips in which he talks about a concept called nervous hesitancy that was a characteristic of that first generation. When you talk about approval and wanting to not disrupt, wanting to please, wanting to fit in, and I think we found out in my grandparents, you know, by the time I left here, they were still saying things like, oh, when you go in England, you have to learn to talk properly, you know, you have to do this, you have to do that, you know.
I think my generation and younger generations, we're British. We didn't come to Britain, we didn't ask to be British, and we're still expected to be grateful. And you know, the other day the Daily Mail published a double-page spread asking why I'm not more grateful. Literally, it was a gift in making my point.
Another contradiction on the part of colonizers, in my opinion, when it comes to immigration is the whole idea of conservative groups in these first world, global north countries, whatever you want to call them, being concerned about their country's identity being threatened, because they're arguing that immigrant groups come in with their different cultures that's clashing with their own culture and all sorts of things like that, which again to me makes no sense, because you have literally colonized these countries, and in doing so you strip the people of their culture, you force them to assimilate into their own culture, you took away their languages. It's kind of interesting that people now are afraid of that happening to them, when that's literally what historically they've been doing to those very same people.
When people feel that their identity is under threat from globalization, from migration, they really become more weaponized identities, stronger, more powerful, and kind of exaggerated identities. And we're seeing identities under threat reasserting themselves, whether that's being a mixed race girl in a white part of London, or a Trini in London, or whether it's white people in a town in Britain that they feel is being overtaken by Muslims. You know, it's that sense of your identity being threatened that can make the identity researchers. So I think it's really important to understand that, because it's a phenomenon that is happening everywhere.
But my main takeaway from the event really had to do with the first thing that they discussed, which is the importance of literature in having conversations about and addressing these issues.
Okay, I think that as writers we have a real responsibility right now to be recording what's happening, to be keeping a record, whether it's fictional. And somehow I like it to be fictional because books stay.
I've always seen my role as a writer as a dismantler of systems. So whatever system I come upon, I kind of try to dismantle it and write it to do something that's, you know, original.
For me, one of the challenges at the moment is that a lot of the prejudice and racism and erasure we face is quite subtle. For me as a writer, it's about how to be really creative in kind of drawing out the underlying truths to those codes or those subtle ways of kind of othering and alienating people, and making, you know, bringing them out into the open.
We're looking at events and dissecting them in a different way than we used to, and looking at different angles to the same stories that we've been telling all the time. And I really believe that you can't be rooted in now without having a sense of your history.
There was so much more things discussed on this panel that I think sort of veered away from immigration at times. So I really just wanted in this video to pull out the things from the event that I found to be most relevant to the discussion of immigration. Naturally, this is a very discussion heavy topic, so I would love to hear your thoughts in the comments down below about anything that I brought up in this video, anything that you saw from the panelists. That being said, thank you all so much for watching this video. I hope you have a lovely, lovely day, and until next time, inshallah, keep reading.